morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 11. Vibhushitam me kalayan guliyake Mahadane nupura kankanadivi Snigdhamala kunchita nila kuntalai Virochamanana hasapeshalam Word for word, Vibhushitam, well decorated, Mekalaya, with an ornamental wreath about the waist, Anguli Yakai, by finger rings, Mahadanai, all highly valuable, Nupura, ringing leglets, Kankana Adivi, also by bangles, Snigdha, slick, Amala, spotless, Akunchita, curling, Nila, bluish, Kuntalai, hair, Virochamana, very pleasing, Anana, face, Hasa, smile, Peshalam, beautiful. Translation. He is well decorated with an ornamental wreath about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers, his leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing. Translation, please repeat. He is well decorated, with an ornamental wreath about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. His leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most beautiful person amongst all others, and Srila Sukadeva Goswami describes every part of his transcendental beauty, one after another, in order to teach the impersonalists that the personality of Godhead is not an imagination by the devotee for facility of worship, but is the Supreme Person in fact and figure. The impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth is but his radiation, as the sun rays are but radiations from the sun. Now continuing on, Sukadeva Goswami, this theme of describing the Lord within the heart, and this chapter is entitled The Lord in the Heart, Paramatma, there's Atma, all you and I, but there's a Supreme Atma, Paramatma. So this feature of the Lord is nicely described here by Sukadeva Goswami, the four-armed, beautiful form of Paramatma, who is a form of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu. As we know, Krishna has many expansions, unlimited expansions, and those expansions originating from him and Srimati Radharani to the gopis, to the Lakshmis on her side, and to the all other figures in even reflections in the material world, and from Krishna on his side to Balaram, and then to Sankarshan, and so on and so forth, and then all the Vishnu forms. So the Vishnu forms that form that is described here. And certainly Paramatma is a Vishnu form. He's within our hearts. He's in the hearts of all living entities. And as I described in the last week, I think that he's in the atoms. That form, or that four-handed Vishnu form, is actually in the atoms. This form of the Lord is within our heart, and even in the atoms in this material world, and of course beyond this world, he is in the Vaikuntha Loka. Kuntha means the anxiety. I remember this lecture from Prabhupada one time in Melbourne. He said, this world is Kuntha. He said, it's full of anxiety. But beyond this world, there is Vaikuntha, the place with no anxieties. That is the spiritual, the Paravyoma. The Vyoma means sky, just like there's sky, we can see the sky. But there is a Paravyoma, a sky beyond this sky, beyond this world. It's called Paravyoma. So there's a Kunta, and this one Vaikuntha, spiritual abode. And in that spiritual abode, there are so many Vaikuntha lokas where that form of the Lord is situated in so many different lokas, spiritual planetary systems. And all are very beautiful, and all are decorated in various ways as described here. And it is mentioned that Prabhupada in one lecture in America, in San Francisco actually, he mentioned that all the inhabitants there are similarly looking like Lord Vishnu. They are exactly like him. And he said, just like your president, that time was President Ford, he said, if your President Ford goes anywhere, he's dressed very nicely. Generally, the president's there in a suit and dressed very immaculately and everything like that. But accompanying him always, there are also so many others also dressed immaculately in suits. Some of the security, some of his advisors, and they all travel with him. And if he were to if he were to come here, actually, all of them together, if you didn't know who the president was, you wouldn't know which one of them was the president, because the president could be any one of them, because they're all dressed the same. They all got the suits on. Who's the president? So he said, like that, in the Vaikuntha, he said the inhabitants there are all have the form like Lord Vishnu, and practically you cannot tell them apart. In other words, the Lord is decorated nicely, and so they are also decorated nicely, beautifully. They got very handsome. The Lord is very beautiful. They are also beautiful. And within his hands, he holds the conch, the disc, the lotus, and the club. And so they also have those. Robert said, they also have those. They have the conch, the lotus, the club, and the disc in their hands. So who is the Lord? And Prabhupada said, but he is distinguished. He is distinguished. He has certain markings and sense and so many things that one who understands, who of course is in that position, knows. He has got, for example, he is decorated with the Kaustubha gem. Kaustubha Mani. Kaustubha Mani is described variously in different shastras, but it is generally described as a brilliantly effulgent pearl, which is on a necklace which adorns the chest of the Lord, a brilliantly effulgent pearl. And that pearl actually is described as representing the pure consciousness of the jivas. The pure consciousness of the jivas is actually symbolically represented in the Lord's pearl. And just like, so the Lord, only the Lord wears that. The devotees don't wear the Kaustubha. This is specifically something that the Lord is adorned with. And the mark of Srivatsa. Srivatsa is also described variously, sometimes on the chest of the Lord, on the heart side. The white curling hair, sometimes effulgent yellow curling, and sometimes just lines, effulgent lines, where the goddess Lakshmi, the wife of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, rests her chest, rests her head on his chest. So, because Lakshmi is golden, that there's a marking there that's golden. So only the Lord has that, the Srivatsa. So that represents Lakshmi. And all sorts of things in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam and our 12th canto of the Bhagavatam is described. All the different, of course, in the previous verse described, all these ornaments are not material, they're spiritual, and they're actually expansion of Lord Balaram doing service for the Lord. Even his Gayatri thread is considered representing the Om, and so many things like that. You'll find a nice description in the later cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. All the ornaments of the Lord, actually they represent different things. But interestingly, the Kaustubha Mani, the pearl, represents the pure consciousness of the Jiva, and the Srivatsa, that is there, that distinguishes Lord Vishnu from all the other inhabitants of Vaikuntha. Now, interestingly enough, Lord Krishna, he also wears he has a Kaustubha Mani. He has many Kaustubha Manis. Sometimes he has a whole necklace of them. but he has Kaustubha, a pearl also, which also represents the pure. He wears that. And Lord Krishna has the mark of Srivats. So one might ask, well, that's the line where the goddess Lakshmi rests her head on her husband Lord Vishnu's chest. Why would Krishna have that mark there? Right, and this is described. Now, interestingly enough, today is the anniversary of the appearance of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami was known as Gopal when he was a young boy, and when Lord Chaitanya was travelling in South India, he went to Sri Rangam and he stayed at the place of Venkat Bhatta, the father, and he stayed there for 4 months during the Chaturmas. So he was just a young boy, 9 or 10 or 11, like he was like about 17 years junior to Lord Chaitanya's age. Lord Chaitanya was there. I guess he was young, must have been younger. So, and he had the opportunity. So while Lord Chaitanya was there, he was talking to Venkat Bhatta, who was from the Sri Sampradaya, and they were having discussions and so on and so forth. And then and he had a very friendly relationship with Venkat Bhatta. We saw Lord Chaitanya chanting and dancing in the temple of Sri Rangam in ecstasy, crying, and he was a big crowd gathered, and Venkat pushed his way through. He was so enamored by Lord Chaitanya, he started chanting and dancing also, and then he invited him to his home. So they used to have discussions, and in one of the discussions, Lord Chaitanya was joking with Venkat Bhatta, saying that, you know, your Lakshmi Devi wants to be with Krishna. So what about that? He was just joking. What about that? And so Venkat said, well, I don't see any problem there. You know, Krishna is an expansion of Lord Narayan, so all right, her husband's Lord Narayan, but I can't see any problem with her wanting to be with Krishna. One might think, well, wait a minute, her husband's Narayan, why does she want to be with Krishna? So he was kind of joking in that way. So Lord Chaitanya said, yes, that's true, but tell me why that after seeing Krishna, she wanted to be with him so much she performed great austerities and in meditation to be with Krishna. She had seen the beauty of Krishna. She had seen Krishna embrace the gopis. So she wanted to be embraced by Krishna, just as he is embracing the gopis. So she did austerity tapasya. So she did that, but she didn't attain Krishna. But the personified Upanishads, Lord Chaitanya said, they wanted to be with Krishna and serve the gopis. They did austerities in meditation and penance and everything. And Krishna blessed them that actually they took birth as the gopis and assisted in the pastime. So why did they succeed but she couldn't? And of course Venkat Bhatta didn't have an answer for that. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, Lakshmi Devi wanted to maintain her position as Lakshmi in an opulent position, which was incompatible with Vrindavan. Whereas the Upanishads, they wanted to be gopis, and they transformed in their next lives to be into the gopi body. So she wanted to maintain her Lakshmi position. So in her meditation, Krishna came to her, and he knew that she wanted. So he said, that is not compatible with my Leela in Vrindavan. So you cannot. So even after repeated requests, he said, no. So your place is in the Vaikuntha. That's your rasa. So she begged him, and she said, least can there be a mark? Can I be with you in symbolically? And Krishna said, all right, I will keep your mark on my chest, just as Lord Vishnu has your mark on his chest. So that is why Krishna also has, it's described that Krishna has a golden streak, a fulgent golden streak, which represents Lakshmi fulfilling her desire, although she couldn't come in her Lakshmi form, and he denied her that, but he blessed her that she could remain on his chest in the golden form. So this is a story of, that's told by Rupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavad-Rita, also quoted by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur from the Padma Purana. So this is how Srivats is also on the chest of Krishna. And of course Kastuba Mani, all these wonderful decorations. So Krishna, of course, now Lord Vishnu, who's so beautiful, and here it is mentioned that he is amongst all others, he is the most beautiful person. Very, very wonderful description here. And so all the jewels are here, very interesting, the word Pishalam is used, most beautiful. We have a devotee named Pishala, right? Most beautiful it means. Most beautiful. But here the description, a very wonderful description. He's well decorated with so many ornaments and rings and so on. Now, they're from the cowherd boys one time saw Krishna decorated with so many rings and bangles, and they said to Krishna, why do you put so many ornaments on your body? Why do you put so many ornaments on your body? You don't need any ornaments. Your body is more beautiful than the ornaments. The ornaments are enhanced by the beauty of your body. In fact, your body is a city of attractiveness. Just think about that for a moment. A city. You know, when you go into a city, if it's a big city, there's a lot of things going on, right? You can go here, you can go all over the place. And one gets fascinated. You know, they're out in the bush, nothing much to do, they go to the big city, right? And then, they get overwhelmed. All the sights, all the sounds, blah, blah. So the description is like that. He is a city his body is a city of attraction. Now keep in mind, remember, he's a spiritual body, not made of material element, but nevertheless, it's like a city of attractiveness. And the beauty is like an ocean of nectar. These are the descriptions. So the cowherd boys were saying, well, you don't need. So all these rings. Now, also the hue of the Lord is described variously as compared to a sapphire. The colour, it is not like actually a colour of this world, it is a spiritual dimension. But it's compared to a sapphire. We haven't seen the hue of the Lord with our eyes, we can't see it, but we get an idea from these comparisons. So the sapphire, or sometimes the blue lotus, these descriptions are given. So if you've ever seen a beautiful sapphire, it's a dark, some are different colours, but you have this dark blue, and it's more the sapphire because it's effulgent and it's glowing. So the hue of the body of the Lord is like that, the blue lotus. Now another thing about Krishna, and of course also Lord Vishnu is described here, that even the scent of his body, he has amazing scents come from his body. Just the sense. Sometimes it's musk, sometimes it's again lotus flower scent, sometimes it's sandalwood, sometimes it's a mixture of all these things. On top of that, sometimes he also puts fragrant oils on his body as well, which the oils themselves are spiritual. But just the scent, actually there was one description that it's like Krishna has opened up a store of perfume scents. And all the ladies of Vrindavan have gone wild to purchase them. This is the description. The store of scents. But so they come from the body of the Lord, and they're just exquisite. There's no comparable sense. These examples again are given. Whereas you compare our material bodies. Now, Krishna doesn't have a material body. Our bodies, if we don't bathe for a few hours, we're not getting wonderful scents coming from our body. And some people don't bathe at all. They have to put all sorts of perfumes on. But Krishna's body has wonderful scents. And of course, also Lord Vishnu's body has wonderful scent. It just drives the minds of the devotees crazy with attraction. And these scents emanate from all parts of the body of the Lord. This is a description of the eyes, the ears, the nose, the hands, the limbs, the feet. And another description is even the toenails. The toenails of Krishna and the toenails of Vishnu are effulgent like blinding suns. Just the nails. Just the nails. Generally ladies like to paint their nails in nice colours, and sometimes they're very glowing kind of colours, and you see them from a distance, but Krishna's nails, he doesn't even have to do that. They're just naturally effulgent. They're so effulgent. And Krishna himself is so effulgent. There's a description of the Kumaras going to the spiritual world to see Lord Vishnu, to the Vaikuntha. And when he actually came there, they had to shut, block their eyes because he was so effulgent. He was so effulgent they couldn't look at him. And they couldn't actually see him. They saw an effulgence coming. Of course, that Acharyas explained, that was manifest because they were very attracted to that effulgence aspect. So he blinded them with an effulgence. And then, of course, he decreased that effulgence and made his form visible to them. And so they were attracted just by the beauty, just by the scent of the tulsi on his lotus feet. So now every part of the body of Vishnu and every part of the body of Krishna is an exquisite in itself, and as a whole is even more exquisite. It's perfect. The ear is beautiful. The hair, here's a nice description of the hair. The hair, another name of Krishna is Keshava, can mean the killer of the Keshi demon, or can also mean one who possesses beautiful, flowing, curly hair. And with a bluish description, beautiful, beautiful hair, all the time beautiful. We know ourselves. That, of course, I haven't got much experience of that. Of hair I used to before I was devoted. I used to have the long hair in those days. And, it's like a mess. And, you comb it, you get knots in it and all sorts. Not so beautiful. You have to do all sorts of things to make it beautiful. But Krishna naturally, all the time, it's spiritual. Beautiful, bluish tint, nice, beautiful hair. His eyes are like lotus petals, and they're like shunt. They go right around. They're very elongated like that. Because our eyes are like whatever they are. But his eyes and Vishnu also has so he can sidelong, give the sidelong glance to Lakshmi, give the sidelong glance to his devotees. It's like a blessing. And of course, and love. And of course with Krishna, he especially gives to the gopis, and especially to Srimati Radha. And he gives sidelong glances. And she also has these eyes like that. And she gives sidelong glances to Krishna. But beautiful eyes, beautiful nose. The nose is described in various places, a little up raised. The mouth, very beautiful. The teeth, all beautiful. So all very, very beautiful. People do all sorts of things just to get the teeth looking beautiful. They go to the dentist, get all these procedures done. People sometimes they have like these baked beans type teeth or something like that, and they want to get them beautiful. But Krishna is just all the time like that. Lord Vishnu is all the time like that. So the lotus face, the moon-like face, the neck is very beautiful, marked with lines. The chest is very broad, and the abdomen. So every part is exquisite. If you were just to look at one part, it's exquisite and perfect in itself. So these are the descriptions. given. So, and also, so the bodily form, the scent of the Lord, the beautiful hair, and the gems he wears. We talked about the kastuba, we talked about the srivats. There are other gems he wears, ringlets, so many different, and they're changed. It's not that he wears the same ones all the time. They're changed. He wears different ones, and bangles. Normally these things wouldn't be seen on men today. Anyway, today at least. Bangles. And here it is said that, also very interestingly, it is said that bangles, nupura, ringing leglets, this word's used, but actually it means ankle bells. So Krishna has ankle bells. So when he moves, bells chime. Bells chime. When he dances, the bells from the ankle bells. Ankle bells. So bangles, so many ornaments, and so generally, as far as male in this world, we don't see. If someone were to dress up with bangles, and people would think, well, he's just doing a performance, or a little crazy, or a little. If a male were to dress up like that, but Krishna dresses like that, and he's the predominator. Actually, all of us are female in that sense. He is the male, and we're all female. He is a predominator, he is the enjoyer, and we are the predominated, and we are the enjoyed. So all of us are female in relationship to Krishna. He's the supreme male. So, so bedecked with valuable jewels, all made with gold, and wearing a glowing headdress and earrings. All these descriptions are given here, and beautiful smile. He has a very a beautiful smile, very pleasing. So Sukadeva Goswami describes all these things very much in detail, and just to show that these things actually are not imagination. It comes from his realization of the Lord within the heart. He has seen the Lord within the heart, and so he is giving a description in that way. So many acharyas give description, and in so many places throughout the Bhagavatam and other shastras, there's description of the Supreme Personality of God. I don't think you'll find this in any other, this detail or even a description. I don't think you have, of course, to give a description in Islam. If you try to give a description or try to say that God is a person, it's the greatest offence. Because they accept God as great, beyond the world, not part of this world. So how you can say God is a person, if you try to do like that, then you're the greatest offender. You must be punished. And especially the deities and all that, they would come and smash the deities. And in the Christianity and other religions, you have ideas of God, a personal form of God, but as far as description and activities and qualities, and a very elaborate description is given here, and so and Prabhupada emphasised, as mentioned by Nrsinga Kabacha in his class yesterday. This is not an imaginary thing. It is very specific. So Sukadeva Goswami is getting more and more specific to what's in the Lord's hands. It is said that the conch and the lotus are meant for the devotees, and they're like blessings, and the club and the disc are meant for the demons. Of course, when the Lord comes, he very much likes to be with his devotees, but sometimes he is killing asuras who are causing so much havoc in the world, but they get liberated. Of course, the devotees get liberated, but it is mentioned by the acharyas, there's not the same liberation. The devotees get liberated perhaps to Vaikuntha or to the Krishna Loka, whereas the asuras, they get liberated to the Brahman, or sometimes they're kept temporarily in what's called Mamasayuja, within the body of Krishna, so on and so forth. So asuras get liberation up to the Brahman. So of course some asuras, like big asuras, like Shishupal, who had former identities, Hiranyakashipu, their destinations are a little bit different to ordinary asuras. For example, when Krishna came, and when Lord Nrsingadev came, he killed Hiranyakashipu, but there were armies that came after him as well, Hiranyakashipu's army. So they got liberated, being killed by Lord Nrsingadev. But their liberation was the Brahman. So this is mentioned by the Acharya. So all these things are very wonderful. It's all very wonderful information to know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is what is meant to be meditated on. This form, all these descriptions, and so in the process of meditation, one is able to fix the mind. This is going to be described more elaborately in the next, throughout this chapter and so on. But one can meditate on this form. One can meditate in any way they want, but Sukadeva Goswami here is recommending meditating on this form of the Lord. A personality, conscious being, as Banu Maharaj mentioned the other week. He is the object of worship, and he is also a conscious, not only an object, but he's a conscious being. Acts in so many different ways. So this is very much stressed by Sukadeva Goswami here. So Hare Krishna, I'll finish here. I'll read this verse again. He is well decorated with an ornamental wreath about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers, his leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing. Does anyone have any question or comment? Yes.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the classes. Wonderful to hear all these glorifications of Krishna. I've got one comment and one question. The comment is you were talking about how the great acharyas, Krishna reveals in the heart, they see in their heart these descriptions of Krishna. And I remember I was in Mayapur in Prabhupada's rooms, and he would give darshan. He was there for about 2 months at one stage. And in the afternoon he would give darshan from about 4:30 p.m. till 7 o'clock in the Shamyati convent. And one devotee asked Prabhupada, one disciple asked Prabhupada, does the pure devotee see Krishna everywhere? And Prabhupada held out the palm of his right hand as if he was cupping, as if he were cupping a drop of water. And he said, he looked down at the palm of his hand and he said, the pure devotee, even in a drop of water, you can see Krishna's pastimes and all of Krishna's associates. And then a couple of months back, I was reading his second canto, and Prabhupada actually describes how the pure devotee's heart is like a television, and the pastimes in the spiritual world is transmitted into the heart of the pure devotee. Yeah. So when I read that, it reminded me of Prabhupada talking about that drop of water.
Transmission. So there's transmitted in the heart of the pure devotee by the mercy of the Lord.
And my question is, in the descriptions of the jewels of Krishna's body, etc. So I would, I hesitate to use the word imagine, but I would then understand that all of the jewels, etc., they're actually entities, they're jivas, that they have a relationship with Krishna?
No, they're not jivas. They're expansion of Balaram. Except for the flute, the Venu, and one of the qualities of Krishna, at least, of course Lord Vishnu doesn't play the flute, but Lord Krishna has the flute, and I have read now. I've read various things, and also the flute, but also the flute is his own personality, and is very dear to Krishna. And so the flute, but it's not like jiva, it's not a jiva. They've got their own shakti, just like Radharani has her own shakti. She's not a jiva. You understand? So Radharani is not a jiva. We are jivas. There are different types of energies. So we are jivas, but these personalities like Srimati Radharani, even the gopis, they are not jiva tattva. They are ladini shakti. All of them are not jiva tattva as such. They are individuals, but they're not part of the jiva tattva category. They are in another category. So all the rings and all the bangles and all the ankle bells and all that is the energy of Balaram. He is manifested in those forms. So they're not jivas, and especially on the body of the Lord. Except we can, except as I said for the flute, I've read that he is his own personality, but not a jiva. I hope that answered your question. Okay.
Thank you, Mark. Just on the flute, I had the great blessings of getting Madhava's flute, original Madhava's flute from Janadivas, a special bit of mercy. And along with that, with the flute, he was explaining that actually in Chaitanya Lila, the flute manifests as, I think it's Bhamsavadan. And he was given is it Bhamsavadan?
As one of the, I forget the personality.
And he was given the charge by Lord Chaitanya to protect
Bhamsi,
his mother, his mother in his
in Chaitanya Lila, he came, the flute of Krishna expanded as this particular devotee. I remember that story, today also is interestingly, the appearance of Ramchand Kaviraj, also connected to Gopal Bhatta, in that Gopal Bhatta was the guru of Srinivasacharya, and Srinivasacharya was the guru of Ramchand Kaviraj, and he was given the title Kaviraj. It is mentioned that Srinivasacharya had eight disciples who were great poets, and he was one of them. And Jiva Goswami glorifies him as a great poet in one verse that he writes. So today is also I think it's his disappearance day, Ramchand Kaviraj, very, very wonderful devotee called Gopal Bhatta Goswami Appearance Day celebration or anniversary today. And Gopal Bhatta is very special. I gave the story of how Lord Chaitanya was staying in his home. Later on, he told him to go to Vrindavan, and when he was growing up, he got a lot of mercy from Lord Chaitanya. He heard the discourses, so he learned a lot, and he studied under his uncle Prabodhananda Saraswati and learned a lot of things on Bhakti Shastra. And later on went to Vrindavan and made friends with Rupa Goswami, and also Sanatana Goswami was very close to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and indeed they collaborated on Hari Bhakti Vilas. And Gopal Bhatta did the editing of Hari Bhakti Vilas. And Sanatana Goswami was so affectionate to him that he published it under his name, or he had it under the Gopal Bhatta's name. So Gopal Bhatta, all very wonderful Vaishnava, and the connection there with his father and the Sri Sampradaya. And actually, after Venkata heard all these explanations of Lord Chaitanya about the position of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya started up in a joking way about Lakshmi Devi and how she wanted to be with Krishna, and then he described more and more, and then actually Venkata understood, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, understood the position of Lord Narayan and the position of Krishna, and he became a follower of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When they called their son Gopal when they were older, and they said, now when we pass away, you go to Vrindavan and follow Lord Chaitanya's instructions. So all these acharyas and all this connection is very interesting, and even connection to this description here of Lord Vishnu. All right, any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.